Hello, welcome to the studio. Today I want to give you a very special tour of my photobook shelf. This is my at-home studio. It's like a 100 square foot room in my apartment. I do all kinds of things in here. I have my dark room in here. I edit in here. I film YouTube videos in here, work on long weekend, and it's home to my photo books. And I love spending time in here, looking at these books, taking in new work. If you're not looking at photo books already, I think it's maybe one of the best ways to consume photography, to see work in a book in a sequence, the way that the artist intended it to be seen. It's such a beautiful thing, especially in a day of Instagram and social media being like a primary place where a lot of people's photography lives. So today I want to give you a tour of this shelf. There's a whole nother big one. And I want to go through some books, share some favorites, share some classics, and maybe some books that I haven't gotten a chance to talk about yet on the channel. So I say we get right into it. To start this tour, I think it's appropriate to start with the very first photo book that I remember intentionally purchasing. And it's actually quite a rare one. So I got lucky right off the bat somehow. Of course, it is also one of my greatest inspirations, Joel Meyerowitz, and this is called Between the Dog and the Wolf. I think the title of this book is a French expression translated into English, and it's like a common saying for the twilight hour, between the dog and the wolf. Very poetic and beautiful, but this has two bodies of work. One of Joel Meyerowitz's series of Blue Hour photos and the other of Pools by the Seaside. Two of my favorite sets of photos from him, and I think picking this up as my first photo book just had a huge impact on me. I remember sitting down with this for hours studying these photos, and to this day, still super inspiring to me. Just like the seemingly simple shot, but then it's so poetic in the way that it's two different bodies of water, which each have like their own energy to them. That's how he describes it. And I think that's so beautiful. When you look at the details, it's all so perfect. Like there's this perfect little gap between the shower head and the ocean horizon line. And man, then there's also the light that plays into each one of them. Oh, it's a perfect series of photos. It was a very big inspiration from day one, and it still is to this day. I've never found this book anywhere else. I bought this at a museum gift shop, and somehow they had a couple copies. I think this was published maybe exclusively in Japan. I might be wrong about that. Anyway, let's move on. See what else we got here. This was a series I talked about at some point on the channel too. This is Mike Slack's Polaroid books, and I think since then I've completed the series of 3 books thanks to my friend Devin, who sold me the last one that I was missing. These are books of Mike Slack's Polaroid work, and they are just an absolutely masterful example of the medium of Polaroid to me. You know, his sequences and images are so playful, childlike. I don't know how to describe it, but they're seemingly simple again, but if you've ever shot Polaroid, you know just how difficult it is to make beautifully framed images like this. And all 3 of the books are equally great. And I'm happy to have the set of 3. This is so cool. They look so good together. Let's head to the other side here real quick. Turn my light around. Yeah. Do you want to shoot from there? Because I think I can't show this stuff. This is a book I picked up recently at a gallery here in Los Angeles. This is Joanne Callis' Woman Twirling. And I picked this up because it has an image in here. It's actually on the very first page, and this was something I remember seeing very early on getting into photography and just being mesmerized by this photo, which has a perfect motion blur in it. And it's such a incredible frame with like the textures of this cloth and the beautiful tones of the wood, the plates that are moving. The other work in here too. What I love about it is like it's a seemingly very comfortable at-home scene that you might be very familiar with, but then there's just something extremely unsettling going on. Like in the first one, it's that these dishes are about to break and you can feel that, and then here it's this plate that's just on fire. Her work is amazing, and I was super excited to find this like all these years later after seeing the photo for the first time. There's so much to go through here. Let's just pick another one off. All right, this next one is Tummy Ache by Zamar Velez. And this was a pretty short run of books, but it's a collection of his portraits. And I love them because he just has a incredibly unique style. He's super contrasty, super saturated. But what I love most is just the characters and the people that he photographs. Like, it becomes this world of its own in which all these portraits that he takes are like a story. A lot of these people are also like music artists, and it's such a fun book. I don't think he made a lot of this. I hope he makes another book in the future. Yeah, super cool work. And I love the title, Tummy Ache. Let's see what else we got. I don't know if I'm technically allowed to include this book up here because it's not mine. I'm borrowing it from a friend because it's quite expensive, but this is An American Index of the Hidden and Unfamiliar by Terrence Simon. This is the first photo book where it's been taking me like a whole week to get through because of the weight that these images have. So as the title suggests, An American Index of the Hidden and Unfamiliar is kind of like just a catalog of all of the chaos, laws, absurd politics. This is, for example, the transatlantic submarine cable reaching land in New Jersey. And it's just a very simple, straight shot of this cable. This is just such a powerful image once it's given its context, and that's also why the words in this book are incredibly important. The Smith & Wesson factory, a hand-thrown explosive for avalanche control, people being detained at border control, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing Money. These are uncut dollar bills. A quarantine facility at JFK Airport. Absolutely wild. Nuclear waste storage facilities. Like, look at this, the Nixon gift vault. How in the world did she get access to this? And then to just make such a clean, simple photo that looks like it very truthfully tells the story of it is fascinating. Anyway, this is a book that I'm slowly going through because there is just so much in here to appreciate and learn about. Up here are kind of the books that are just way too big to sit up on the shelf. This top book I don't think I've ever talked about, but this is Mother of Dogs by Matthew Genetempo, and this is such a uniquely and beautifully printed photo book. It's a black and white series of photos he made along train tracks in Texas, I believe, around Marfa. I think it's such a perfect narrative that connects all these photos. The book itself feels like you're walking along the train tracks that it's about, and it's such an incredibly printed book. It's like not truly bound together. Each of the pages can be separated, and as a beautiful touch on the cover, there's actually a penny included that I think is flattened by a train. You lay them on top of the train tracks, and when the trains come by, they run over the pennies and flatten them, and he included one with every book, which is just such a nice handmade touch, and I love that kind of stuff in photo books. Moving on, Betty and Bobby is a newsprint publication by Jack Boole, and this was, I think, something he made in an edition of 50 and just kind of placed around Los Angeles. So I found one of these in front of a diner on Sunset Boulevard, and he gave these out for free, made an edition of 50, and the images in here are beautiful. I love Jack Boole's work. There's just something about it that is so unique, and it looks beautiful on this newsprint. Anyway, super happy to be able to pick one of these up. Langor I've talked about by Donovan Smallwood. I think I did a proper video where this was included, but it feels like a poem about Central Park in New York City and the people and the nature. Just gorgeous. At the bottom of the oversized book stack, Outskirts by Todd Hido. Classic book, published by an Israeli press. And I think he's got kind of a reputation for always printing his work very large. So beautiful. Another one of my earliest inspirations. Something I've also been really obsessed with recently is just buying used photography books for really cheap, like old books that were published in large editions but maybe didn't necessarily hold their value, and now you can buy them for like 10 bucks a piece. This is a really funny example. This is At the Water's Edge by Joel Merowitz, and it might be the smallest photo book that I own. This thing is tiny, and it's just a different curation of Joel's work, all containing some kind of water in each image. It's such a funny way to consume somebody's work, especially somebody like Joel who did like all 8x10 large format negatives and then ends up printing them in a book that's like not even the size of a sheet of 4x5 film. This is literally significantly smaller than his actual negatives would have been, which is so funny to think about. But this is, I mean, a fun little book. You can carry it around. Originally, this book was $13. I think I paid maybe 20 bucks for it. Again, if you have artists whose work you love and they've put out a lot of books in their lifetime, chances are you can find a lot of them for cheap secondhand. And photo books are really expensive, so sometimes this is the way to go. Down here is a very recent pickup and an artist whose work I've been diving into quite extensively. This is Tierney Gearin, and this is her alphabet book. Tierney Gearin is known for these incredible photos of her kids, and this is the latest publication I think she made, maybe in 2010. But she set out to make a photo of her kids for every letter in the alphabet. So this is Airplane Adventure, B is Bear Boy, and my God, they are just incredible to look at. They're colorful. The expressions in them are always so good. Look at that, jumping joy. They're always so humorous, quirky. Look at this long leg. I think she's incredible. And what a fun concept to make a book of the alphabet with your kids. Let's head over to this side here, because there's a couple books I want to talk about as well. One of the projects that I've been fascinated by the most recently, and this is maybe something that when I purchased it, I didn't fully appreciate it, and I came back to it recently and just have been mesmerized by it. This is North Shore by Vava Ribeiro. These are some of the most incredible surf photos I've ever seen, whether it's portraits of like very well-known surfers in the North Shore or just these beautiful coastal surfing scenes. This is such an incredible document of this region in Hawaii that's known for its surfing. Both like beautiful landscapes like this and then portraits of some of the local surfers that people might recognize. A really nice, like, extensive document that covers kind of all aspects of this culture, I think. Wow. So good. I think this is sold out too. But man, is it good. Look at that. And he's got this very distinct, like, blue-toned printing style that visually ties it all together, I think. Love this book. I think a final book I can talk about is Lars Thunbjork, and this is a retrospective book, which if you're just getting into buying photo books, I think retrospectives are great because for your money you get to see so much of an artist's work. If you're not familiar with Lars Thunbjork, he is an incredibly influential color photographer. His style and his images are instantly recognizable. Very like distinct blocks of color in a lot of them, usually usually some kind of witty thing going on. Look at that. It's like almost children's book like primary and popping colors that just scream at you. He also has this very funny series of photos he made in offices around like the late 90s, I want to say, mid to late 90s. Oh yeah, 1996. Again, just like documenting this very strange space at this very strange particular time. Beautiful. Also just like really framing the chaos in an excellent way. Yeah, it looks like it was made between 96 and 99, which is the year I was born. I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up. A little tour of my Photobook shelf. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Linus behind the camera for filming the video. I'll put his channel down below as well. And finally, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring the video. Squarespace is an incredible all-in-one website building platform that you can use to build your photography portfolio online. I've been using Squarespace for so many years now, and they've made it so easy to get a website up and running with my photography. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can hit the link in my description for a 14-day free trial of Squarespace. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Willem for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain.